I'd like to call the Architectural Review Board and City Planning Commission meeting to order. It's Thursday, March 19th, 2026 at 6 p.m. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. First item on the agenda. What do you want? Oh, yeah, that's important. The roll call, please.
Watke,
Here.
Hunter, Stocko, Boardman,
Here.
Geistlin, Meinel,
Here.
Schroeder.
Okay. Approval of the minutes on the March 5th meeting, 2026. I'd entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. Motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Alrighty. Now, Planning Commission items. Creekside Community Development Application, Paul Van Hinkle, agent, vacant lot on South Lincoln Street at the intersection of E and Deer Road, tax key YVSE 00016. Okay.
Paul Van Hicklam, I'm the engineer for Teronomy Builders on Project Creekside, but most notably known as Creekside Development. I just want to take a couple minutes before we get going to let you know where we're at. We've got all the public improvements of the sewer and water and the electric and the storm sewer done in Creekside Boulevard. We got weathered out at the end, or we had started on the sub base and the curb and gutter. But that's going to be done as soon as the weather breaks here. And we've got one building permit for the maintenance buildings. We got the other 3 building permits going into the state, and we're looking to get an early foundation start on buildings 1 and probably the clubhouse in the maintenance building this spring. So you'll start seeing some cranes out there and things like that pretty soon. So
Good.
and then we waited on the intersection improvements until the weather was close at the end, and we didn't want to start tearing the curb and gutter out in the fall before the snow hit. So we got lucky. There were some changes based on some things we found out there with the sewer and water. So we didn't have to rip up the intersection as completely as we thought we would have. So we thought we'd wait to the ripping out the rest of the intersection and doing the curb and gutter in the intersection for the turn lanes and such until the spring. And that's on schedule, and all the signal equipment is ordered. Some of it's a little back ordered, but we should be on track for that. We're also working with the developer on lot number 2, who's ready to go, and we're coordinating some of the utilities and some of the curb and gutter and the sidewalks and the driveways and such. So everything's moving along kind of on schedule. It's a little behind, but still on schedule. The one thing we've been working on is the main thing I want to talk about is some of the changes. This is a $150 million project out here, so it's a big deal for us and for the city. And no matter, I've been doing this a long time, no matter how good plans you'd have, and when you put a blade in the ground and you find stuff that you didn't know about, or things have moved and stuff like that. So there becomes a lot of changes on these type of projects. But we have a couple major ones we want to come back to the Planning Commission to discuss and ask you to let you know why we're doing it and what we're doing, and hopefully you can understand what's going on. The big item was the second connection for the water main. That was one of the requirements of the project, that we have 2 connections to the system. During the process, we upgraded the water mains. We thought we only needed a 10-inch, and you hired a consultant to review the whole project who recommended a 12-inch in certain locations, which we modified the plans. And we originally thought we may connect down to Getson, which became very expensive. We had to cross underneath the railroad tracks, underneath the big drainage ditch which drains most of the south side of the city, and rip up Getson again and connect back in Centralia. So we had always talked about a second option, which would be along an easement that we provided next to the bus barn. And when your consultant did the analysis, he said it met all the fire requirements needed. So we're proposing to change that location on the plans from where we had it before to along the easement, along the bus barn, a 12-inch water main, and connecting back at Lincoln Street. City engineer has looked at that. He wants some other additional information. We have to modify the DNR extension permit, which we were going to do. And we just wanted to come back and ask and present that to the planning commission. The other thing is when we looked at, they're hard to see, but we had some sidewalks on the back side of the parking lot, what I'll call the back side of the parking lots. If you picture like buildings 2 there, you see on the screen, there's sidewalks on the building side, and we have a parking lot, and we had sidewalks on the back side, which really don't function too well, because Toronto has over 1,800 units around the area, and everybody who parks in the parking lot walks through the parking lot towards their apartments, and they don't walk on the sidewalk. So we thought instead of having that side, and it was causing some issues with some drainage, because some of the drainage drains from the parking lot across those to some swales and some storm sewer. So what we came up with we thought would be a better option and a better amenity for the project, create a walking trail through the whole project. When we did the stormwater ponds, they're holding water pretty well, and we've got some, the big creek that runs on the north side and the east side of the project. We thought if we could provide a walking trail that would highlight those areas. So what we're proposing to do is eliminate some of the sidewalks on some of the parking areas, not the building sides, but the back sides, and provide a multi-use trail 6 feet wide around the whole project, which is highlighted by the clouds there, the red clouds. And you can see it goes around. I'm sure you all have seen the pond. The pond's pretty visible from I-43 out there now, that stormwater pond. And there's another one just to the east or the west of there. So we thought that'd be a nice feature, both for aesthetics and for the community. There's going to be a lot of tenants out here. We thought that'd be a nice recreational feature, and it's about somewhere around 7,000 linear feet of walking trail, so it's a mile and a quarter, something in there. So that's a little different than the plan we originally prepared and presented to the planning commission, so we wanted to make sure you didn't have a problem with changing from those, I don't want to call useless sidewalks, some sidewalks that were rarely going to be used to a walking trail. The third other major item was when we did the crossings for and I'll call it the center ditch because it doesn't have a name, but those are wetlands. Those are wetland crossings, so we have the water. When we'd had the water crossing for those 2 crossings, one was behind the clubhouse and one was over near the maintenance building. They were designed for a crossing that was for a major river crossing, so they had valve vaults on both sides and things like that, when we looked at the requirements from the DNR, that wasn't required. So we were requesting that, we're just showing you on the plans, we're going to modify the permit for that also. And that we've talked to the DNR and they don't have a problem with that. So those are the 3 major things. There's a lot of little things we've included in this, and there'll be a lot of more little things that were going on based on the engineering that we're running it by your staff and your engineering department and your consultants. So, but Allison, I think she was right, suggested we come back with some of these major items and seek your approval for those. And I'd be happy to answer any other questions you have.
On those walking paths, will they be blacktopped or gravel?
We're thinking some kind of asphalt path. Won't be concrete. Concrete's get kind of hot. So some kind of asphalt. We haven't designed it because it's based on the grades there, but we'd like to make it so it's not like a skateboard. So there may be some curves and things like that just for aesthetics, maybe some landscaping. The other thing, who's running? Sherry, you running the computer? Oh, Matt. Matt, go up near the recreational area. Just to the north there, right there, just farther. Okay, you can see where we got those tennis courts and that's the outdoor bathrooms and cooking areas and picnic areas right there in the square. We're gonna read it, and we added the playground equipment, and we had a basketball court there, and the basketball court didn't work from the drainage standpoint. So we're gonna move the basketball court. And then I think all along that area, on the other sides of buildings 3 and 4, we've got a swale going through there. We're gonna have the walking trail. We may modify the recreation, not eliminate anything. We may add some other items, but we're probably gonna spread that out a little bit. So it'll be a little different. We're working with a landscape architect to get that final design. And to kind of combine the recreational area with some of the drainage features and make it look nice and function better. So,
Allison?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add on this project. Paul went over kind of the gist of what they're looking for. An SIP amendment is required for any revision such as these two. Just really briefly, the two main reasons is to add the walking trail and then also the change in water main, which is mostly engineering and water department related. So I'll turn it over to Jacob and have him touch on Kapoor's review.
Thank you, Allison. Just kind of working through some of our comments here. I know what we were looking for was some final engineering on that north access road to make sure that we hit the 6-foot minimum depths and things
Yeah.
like that.
we'll have that.
And then kind of just some understandings on your front that we want a 3-valve situation at the intersection of Lincoln. That way we can isolate it
I
as
agree,
necessary.
that makes sense.
Yep. And then, did you say you've been speaking with the DNR regarding any of the changes yet, or?
We just talked to them verbally. We
Okay.
want to get through this meeting. We want to make sure
Yep.
the plan commission agreed with it first.
Understand completely.
And then we want to modify the permit, and we need to do the planner profiles for that too.
Yep, understood. I guess then regarding the walking paths, kind of one of the things we were looking for some clarification on, which it sounds like you're doing them in asphalt. Is that the
Right
intent?
now it's planned for asphalt. If we
Okay.
change it, if you want us to come back, we'll come back. I don't know what we'd change it to. We think the drainage doesn't affect the drainage because we're moving about the same impervious area.
Yeah, no, I
So-
understand. I just want to make sure that we
So
have
right
it.
now it's planned for asphalt.
Okay. And then I guess the other thing that was kind of noted on here was, ADA compliance with those trails, and then there was some concern about some stormwater outfalls, kind of
Yeah,
using that as drainage.
we're going to adjust the stormwater and the trail
Yep.
probably a little bit to make sure the stormwater works. I'm not too sure on the ADA requirements, but we want to make it useful for all the
Right,
tenants out there.
understood.
So if we have an issue with ADA, we'll address those, and
Yeah,
we
and
just hate to move a lot more dirt
Yep.
And then the other thing is we're talking about doing it in 2 phases. Matt, could you put up the one with the walking trail?
Sure.
Yeah, zoom out a little bit. The first phase will be what I call the inner loop. It'll be around buildings 1, 2, and in the front of 3 and 4 in the clubhouse, and come back and connect to make a loop. That area next to building 1, that's right near the lot line. That may be a little tight, but that may be concrete. That may be a sidewalk, depending on what we do with the connections at the creek side. But that will be the first, because we just didn't want everybody working around where we're building in other buildings. So the next one, zoom out a little bit maybe, Matt.
Sure.
Next one will be all around the outside, buildings 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I think we're kind of planning on making a nice loop around the lake. We call it a lake, but it's really a big stormwater pond, but it holds water pretty well. And we think it's going to be pretty attractive. But, we have, I don't want to call it a lake, the pond on one side, and the other side we have the creek with the wetlands. We think that's a nice feature to be attractive for the tenants to walk around there.
Yeah, and then I guess the last thing, and I'll kind of turn it over to Nate too. I know we have the memo from Foth regarding the tie-in using the north access lane. Just making sure that at the end, and Nate can speak to this a little bit more, that we're still meeting the same emergency fire flow requirements that we're hitting there.
I think your consultant had verified that, so.
Yeah, I know that part of the thing that was included in that memo was making sure that after construction that we basically get an as-built reading of those to make sure that we're hitting those same numbers from the report, because they are based on some general assumptions on information provided from you guys and provided from us as well. So
And
we
it's
want
all
to make
based
sure
on
that we're still
fire
hitting
flow.
those numbers.
Yeah, we had a lot of conversations with our
Yep.
fire flow provider, our fire system provider, and he's very comfortable with his numbers, so.
Yeah, I guess I can then, Nate, if you want to speak a little bit more on it.
Yeah, just a couple things. Number one, I just, Getson is a better connection. Totally understand what you're doing here. You're right, through the modeling, it shows, but I think it's fair to say though too, the sprinkler flows were dropped from 450 gallons per minute. Originally, they were planned at 1,000 gallons a minute. Yourself and the subcontractors say, yep, it'll go, 550 gallons a minute is plenty. That's great, as long as we can prove it, it matches, the numbers like that were tested through the model, given that the model could be plus or minus 300 gallons a minute. I think that's fair, a fair request.
Yeah, well, again, it's all based on the analysis, it's all based on the analysis for the Hardy Cross analysis, the modified Hardy Cross analysis that they done. So it's basically a computer model. So it may be a different, but I don't think it's more than 10% off of what, one way or the other, maybe a lot more pressure out there. I think somewhere your consultant mentioned that they didn't look at the possibility you have enough supply in all the water towers to provide enough water out there, so that may be the bigger issue than the size and the location of this connection. Because if you look at the connection, we're on Lincoln Street near the bus barn. Well, if you go down from the area on Centralia to where we're connected, it's only about a couple 100 feet more of water main. And if we went down to Centralia, it's actually a longer connection, which means you lose some friction capacity in the pipe too. So I think the pressure is going to be maybe better. Either way, it still meets the minimal requirements that anybody would do, and anything you do in the city, I think we're going to have more pressure out there than we'll have in a lot of places in the city. So
Yeah.
we're not asking for anything. We're not asking for an exception to any kind of standards. We're not asking for anything that you wouldn't require anybody else to do. So we're just providing what we needed to provide.
Sure. Yeah, we're not really worried about the pressure. It's meeting the fire flows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the results are only as good as the data that was entered. So if you're making some assumptions, you have to verify those assumptions. That's
Right.
all Nate's saying.
And, again, I've worked with Torontomy for 20 years. I started with them, and, or they started with me when I was working, and I've been with them ever since doing the projects. And they've never done a project where if they needed to make a change later on for the benefit of the community and mostly for the benefits of the tenants, they haven't done it. So if there's a problem later on, we'll address it.
Okay? Nate?
Yeah,
Rebecca?
that's-
Allison, we're good?
That's all I have on this. I would just mention that in my staff report, I did recommend approval of the SIP amendment contingent on all of the engineering comments, all of the water department's comments, and folks' comments being met.
Okay. Any discussion? Motion?
Make a motion to approve on Allison's recommendations.
Okay, second?
Second it.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Disapprove?
Allison,
Passes.
does this have to go back to the city council?
No, right?
Yes, it does.
It does.
It does.
I thought it didn't. I thought,
Yeah, SIPs we do bring to
SIP,
council.
okay.
So, yep, we'll bring it forward to city council.
all righty then.
Yep.
I'll be back then.
Sounds good. Thank you.
All right, thanks for your time tonight.
We're gonna have to change, you're gonna have to make a recommendation to move it on to council. You do amend that?
Make amend to also move on to city council.
Jim?
Yes.
Okay. We're good? Okay. Alrighty. Moving on to the next item here. Is Kingman A. Young, applicant and agent, Okay, for CIC US Holding, Inc., owner, 504 West Court Street, tax key number YUNW-00131. And this is for a conditional use application. And if there's anybody out there, we are gonna have a public hearing, but we thought we'd let him go first. He might answer some of the questions that you might have. So we'll let him go, and then after he's done, we will do the public hearing. Go ahead.
Okay, so so I'm the architect that prepared the plans, and I got a client from I think this building was in the process for a while, and in this town, and this new owner is taking over and hiring me to do that remodeling for the interior, and I got a chance to look at the building, and we had decided that to have that to be converted to senior daycare, senior care facility. And so, so the project at this point that we are just to change the use. I don't know what's the previous use but the building have been abandoned for several decades. And so, so we want to change that so that we can be submitting permit to do the interior remodeling of that. So right now, we want to do just the interior work and the conversion at this point. So, so the building, according to what I have and I feel verified, that consists of 3 sections. There's a front classroom sections and a middle swimming pool sections. And at the rear end of that, which is currently boarded up, I didn't get a chance to get in, but I do have the some existing drawing, and so there were 2 rooms that were inside with the classrooms. We would like to keep the partitions of the 2 rooms into 2 accessible bathrooms and turn that into a dining hall. So but the conversion of this basically is basically on the interior. We would keep the bathrooms, keep the classrooms in the front, and then however, the classrooms will all have accessible bathrooms, so that it will be easier for the seniors to use the washrooms. And the front area, the main entrance, which has like multiple doors, would remain to be a office area at the back and a waiting area, so that people can congregate and for the family to pick up the seniors. So there's a waiting area in there. Most of the work done in the middle swimming pool section. We are going to get rid of the swimming pool and get rid of the existing locker rooms and shower rooms at the back, and we are going to convert that into bathrooms, edit more bathrooms, more classrooms, and then so we are, and then we also add a ramp that provide the accessibility from the main level to the swimming pool level, and then we are also having kitchens to provide food that would be a selling point, I think, that for the seniors, so that they will be able to provide inexpensive meals, and it is right next to the dining hall, which is on the 3rd sections of that. And in the swimming pool section, in the middle section, we also changed that to have the existing building is that we call it the open activity area, which is we plan to put that into a interior landscape place for the elderly to walk around and have indoor activities. There is a lot of south-facing glazings, tall curtain wall windows are facing in this area, so there are plenty of daylight, and I think that is a good place for a sunroom or outdoor indoor activity area. So on the right now the building is a a steel building, a brick building, but then the building was cut off years ago. And there were steel framing and with a driveway that was to provide for the weatherproofings for the interiors. So we don't plan to do much about the interior. So we try to just brighten it up with lighting, murals, colors, wall paints, and then if there are damage on the existing brick wall, we are going to just top on and repair them. And so we try to be keeping the budget of this project to be a manageable one, so that we don't want to be going too excessive with that. We try to be but we do want the interior to be functioning, and then so although we have plans, this property, this building is in a big lot. If you look at the previous the plot of surveys, we have plenty of land on that, which may be for a lot of future expansions. That if this project will be successful, there is a lot of other plans. But at this point, we would like to be just like keeping it to be a first step of this company to be stepping into this community. And basically, we also, because of the staff and the need for parking, we have in mind of a parking lot development in the future on that. So obviously, we will need to have lightings, and we have landscape, and we will need to have the parking stall limitations and then the landscape requirements as per the city ordinance on that. But we are still looking at the location of that, because right now there is I think the whole place is covered by grass. So I don't know what is the existing parking spaces. So I don't know where. So I need to be looking at where to put it and then locate it. And hopefully it is close to the existing storm water system, so that it doesn't take too much work to provide the drainage for the storm water for the parking lot on that. So, but at this stage, we are just planning to do an interior of that, mostly an interior work, and we want to have this use of change of use, conditional use application approved, so that we have enough to be starting to prepare for the plans, and we are going to submit that to the state and the building department for the building permit. But at this point, we are mostly seeking a zoning approvals for this conditional use.
Okay. Yeah, I can call the public hearing first. Okay,
Yes, sir.
now what we're gonna do is we're gonna open the public hearing. And I got to read a little bit here for you. Notice is hereby given that a public hearing will be held before the Planning Commission, the City of Elkhorn, on March 19th, 2026 at 6 o'clock p.m. or sooner thereafter, as the matter may be heard in the council chambers, City Administration Building at 311 Seymour Court, Elkhorn, Wisconsin, for the purpose of hearing all interested parties, their attorneys, or their agents with respect to the applicant submitted by Kenman A. Young for a conditional use permit to allow for a senior care center located at 504 West Court Street. The property is more precisely identified by the following tax ID, YUNW 00131. Now, I will say, anybody who'd like to speak can come up. You'll have 3 minutes, and they'll go to the podium so you can sit down, okay?
Thank you.
Is there anybody that'd like to be heard on this matter? Could you come up? Thank you.
If you'd prefer to sit, you could also sit.
Okay. Yeah. We need your name and address, if you would, please, sir.
Okay. I'm Gene Crockless. I live at 630 Greenfield Street. I have 178 feet of land that abuts up to the land in question. Now, I've been coming to these events since day one. Many of you weren't here then, but in July of 2015, October 16, February 17, last March of 22, they've all come. But this is the first time that only one phase, this little quarter section of land. All the other years, there was a comprehensive plan, phase 1, phase 2, and so forth. And they pushed for high density. And you kept bringing them down, bringing them down. They didn't put a shovel in the ground. In 2022, they requested RM2 zoning. The same as the Creekside Community Project. They didn't get it. They didn't put a shovel in the ground. I think they're, my opinion only, they're stalling. They're stalling. They cannot have a return on investment of what they spent and what they'll spend to renovate that if that's all they're doing. I'm concerned about why we don't have phase 2 or phase 3 as part of the proposal, so we can actually see what's being proposed, not just one small section. And again, this is the first year they only did one little section. But my concern is with what's going to happen with 3/4 of the property that isn't being touched with this proposal. Because it all is residential 1 all the way around the area. And at the R4, the restricted based on the 240 plan. Restricted to single family duplexes, less than 2 units or less per building, low density, 5.4 dwelling units per acre, that type of thing. So again, we're dealing with a small part of this, and are they going to put a shovel in the ground and not knowing how they're going to be able to use the rest to get a decent return on investment? That's my thoughts. Thank you.
Anybody else like to be heard?
Hi, my name is Garrett Waymel, live at 429 West Court Street, right across the street. It feels like they're kind of being pressured into this, with the mayor saying you're going to condemn the building. I've lived there since 2019, and it's been abandoned, and it's been nothing but a nuisance. We have kids pulling plywood off the building, going on top of the roof, running. Cops are there all the time. I'm being stopped all the time if I see someone. Like, something needs to be done with this property. Do I think this is the answer? No. I mean, it's in a residential old neighborhood, but right across the street from the elementary school. Like, this should be houses, like duplexes, townhouses, something to fit in with the residential thing. Also, I feel like at this point, like, let me see, I got some notes. Like, it's residential. What is the demand for the adult daycare that it says, but he keeps saying senior care center? So what is this actually gonna be? There's no thought to it, it seems like. And then I go with, I look up the taxes that they pay. They haven't paid the last 2 years. Are they gonna pay that? They have, what, almost 10 acres of land, I think, is what I was told. And they pay less taxes than I do right across the street, which is kind of absurd. So, I mean, at that point, like, that's where I'm at. We need more clarity on this. And being in a neighborhood, it should be more of a neighborhood. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name is Jean Sigmund. Do you need my address?
Yeah.
510 West Court Street, Elkhorn. I live right next door to it. I've been there my whole life. I used to go swimming at the school. We used to have a lot of fun. So they want to put in a daycare. Is that what they were calling it?
Yeah, I believe so.
So, and what are they going to do with the rest of the land is what I want to know, you know? I mean, we could use a daycare, for adults, because people do take care of their parents and need some place to drop them off at, but are they going to fence it in, or, I just want to know what the rest of their suggestion is for it. Because like the guy said before, there is a lot of kids up there, and I feel like a babysitter right now, because the cops always go, "Did you see anybody?" I'm not watching for that, So and something needs to be done, because with it open like that, people have been breaking in. I know Grant has gone in and bolted the doors shut and stuff to try to keep them out of there and everything. So for the most part, it is pretty secure, but they still get on top of the roof and stuff. So I'd like to see something done with it. It's been empty 18 years. And I know Zoe lost it, so I know he's just had it a few years, I think, so. All right, thanks.
You.
Hi, I'm Tricia Rengie, 108 Olson Street. Sir, I'd like to thank you for showing your face today and making an attempt to meet with everybody and making an answer to the many requests that I know have been sent out to you, so thank you. To that point, I would like to know why it has taken 18 years to get to this point, and we're still at the same page we were 15 years ago. This is running down our property values. I've lived in my home since 2004. So, to the city, I believe we need to know the plan for the rest of the property before any decisions can be made for rezoning. And rezoning, in my opinion, how in the world could we have a profitable business in a residential area? Pause and think about that. It would be the same as putting a gas station in the middle of a very old area of Elkhorn, very seasoned area of Elkhorn. To rezone it into a medium density or high density and then put a business in there would not make sense. I believe strongly we need to know the plans for the rest of the property. And if we're going to wait another 10 years, 5 years, 2 years, 6 months, that's way too long. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak? Okay.
I'm Bob Fraser. I live at 118 Olson Street, and it's been my backyard for over 50 years. I don't have a problem with doing something with the existing building because of the vandalism. Maybe if somebody's doing something with it, the vandalism will stop. My question is, what's the time frame from start to finish when he starts remodeling till when it's put in use? And I'd have to disagree with Trish as far as property values. We just got our assessment and it just went up another $8,000, so it hasn't hurt my property values, according to the city's assessor. So anyways, it's nice to see something finally being done. We do like the vacant property behind us. We've seen deer, fox, everything running through there, but we need to know the second and third step. And the other thing is too, that was a swamp. As a kid, we played in the swamp. So what's that going to do to the water table if they put more buildings back there? That's all I've got. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak? Anyone? If not, I'll close the public hearing. Allison, do you have some information for us here?
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So first, I'll just start by clarifying a couple of things and explaining the project a little bit further for everyone, and hopefully clarify some concerns. But the property located at 504 West Court Street, previously the old Lakeland School, has been vacant and abandoned for several years. But the applicant is not requesting a rezone on this property. The current zoning is R4, which is a mixed-use district, so it's residential and business, and the site is already zoned R4. In our R4 zoning district, a adult daycare or regular daycare is classified as a conditional use permit in our zoning ordinance. So the applicant is not requesting a rezone at this time. They are simply requesting a conditional use permit. This is a permitted use within the R4 zoning district with conditions. So they are not seeking to rezone to a residential district. They're not seeking to rezone to a business district. And there's no other phases at this time. And that may be a question that we can ask the applicant later. However, they're not proposing anything else on this site. Nothing that we've seen, nothing that the city has discussed. They're simply requesting to convert the building into a senior daycare center. This would be a day center only, so there would not be any overnight stays. The standard hours of operation would be Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Weekends 10 to 4 or as needed based upon the demand, I think. It would be available for seniors to come during the day when caregivers or families need care for those individuals. There would be 25 full-time employees and 5 part-time employees. Kind of on the screen is some of a narrative that the applicant has submitted to you. With that being said, I do have some comments on the submittal as a whole. So in evaluating a request for a conditional use permit, the City Plan Commission has several factors that they need to review in order to make their recommendation to the Common Council. And I'm going to read those out loud so you understand what the Plan Commission should be looking at this evening. And that is the consistency with the city's comprehensive plan, the site plan layout, existing and proposed structures, potential impacts on surrounding properties, compatibility with nearby pattern of development, design of parking areas, driveway locations and access to adjacent roads and roadway systems, traffic generation, circulation, and potential congestion, infrastructure, utilities, including drainage, sewage, and water systems, proposed business operations, landscaping, which includes lighting, type of construction, construction commencement and completion dates, and sureties. So in reviewing all of those items, I do see that some of those have been submitted as a part of this plan. We see a narrative, we see a general understanding of the type of business they're proposing, and we see a narrative that talks about their hours of operations and their maximum capacity. And then what we see is an interior renovation plan where we're seeing how they're changing the interior to have it turn from a school or a prior school into the senior daycare center. There are several components that we don't see as part of this plan and that were not received as a part of this application. That would be the design of parking areas, which Kapoor will touch on in a little bit. They did a memo and they talk heavily about the dilapidated condition of both ingress egress points and the deteriorating parking areas on this site. And from what I know, there has been no submitted plan for improvements. But if they are planning on opening a business, we do need to see how improvements will be made to the ingress egress. We need to see where individuals will be parking, how many parking stalls there will be. We have to ensure that parking in ingress and egress is adequate for this type of use. So we don't see the design of parking areas. We don't see the driveway locations or access to adjacent roads or roadway systems. We don't see any traffic circulation information. We see some proposed business operations. We don't see a landscaping plan, a lighting plan. And very briefly in their narrative, they do talk about construction commencement and completion dates. However, it's pretty broad. So I do think there are some items that are still missing as a part of this submittal to look at the parcel as a whole and make sure that all proper improvements are completed on site, because the property is in a dilapidated condition. And so not only will they need to improve the interior of the property in order to make it a place where they can hold a business, but there will need to be some exterior upgrades as well to make it aesthetically pleasing and to make it safe for patrons to come and utilize this business. So I'll leave it there and I will pass it over to Kapoor. And then I think the water department has some comments as well, just general questions.
Thanks, Allison. Kind of piggybacking on what you were regarding about the exterior improvements is kind of what we touched on here. Existing ingress and egress locations are both in disrepair. It's unclear how the applicant intends to repair or replace these, and then will both locations be utilized? What is the intended traffic flow through the site? Making sure on these things, I know we have a shared use driveway with the cemetery as well off of Jefferson Street. What are the impacts to the cemetery there, and making sure that they are still getting their same access and that we're not creating a problem for them? And how is traffic going to differ from its original use of when it was a school? Things like that. As well, on the site, there is an existing sanitary sewer main that runs through what appears to be an old basketball court in the center of the property there. There'll need to be an easement that will have that located and properly dedicated to the city. Parking areas, as of right now, are in disrepair and will need repair or replacement. As of now, it is unclear which are to remain, which are to be removed and replaced with green space. We're needing some clarity on that front at least. And then regarding the conditional use permit requirements, Allison kind of touched on that as well. But looking for engineering review, we need existing and proposed grades throughout any areas that are being disturbed, any utility connections, if there's upgraded services, if there's changes of services and things like that. Stormwater management, if ends up being applicable, erosion control, things like that for the site work. And then for any type of work within the public right-of-way or any type of stormwater management facilities, a surety will be required for those improvements. So.
As far as water department's concerned, I mean, we'd like to see a demolition plan. Are you using the existing services? Are you going to put in new services? If so, what size? We also provide like a site plan for anything new. Fire hydrant locations, is there going to be a fire department connection hookup on the building? Are you going to have sprinklers in there or not? It all impacts, right? Their projected water use, we would like to know that. And obviously fill out an application when it's time. And then, other than that, just more detailed on your site plans and your plumbing. And like state approved plans, what are you doing so we have something to review.
Is that it, Nate?
That's it for me, sorry.
Okay. Discussion?
Well, sounds to me that we're jumping the gun because there's not enough information to make a judgment on this.
Well, we would have to make a recommendation to council whether we think that we approved the conditional use permit or not. And then it's gonna go to council either way, okay? So, we did, in a motion, anybody else?
The
Any
item can,
conversation?
if you feel that the application needs more information too, you can also table it and bring it back to Plan Commission.
And that's my opinion. I think we need to table this till the
Take a
information.
motion then?
I make a motion to table this till more information is.
The only thing you're looking for approval now is conditional use, right?
Right.
17 years ago, when that building was bought, I was on city council. And they were gonna turn that into a senior housing. And the city said, we're gonna have to spend money to update the sanitary sewer, storm sewer, and water on West Jefferson Street by the school, because it wasn't adequate for what they were gonna put in. I know nothing has been done on utilities on that street in the last 17 years. Is that gonna have to be done if this goes through?
We've got a motion. That's on the floor. We can have discussion after the motion.
Need a second.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. And Dwayne, your motion again was to
Table this.
table
till
this
More
issue.
information is brought to
until, yeah.
to all the necessary parties. Because, I haven't seen, not that everybody's against this, but, multiple departments got questions about it, and I don't see how we can approve anything of that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That'll be sent on to table it until a lot of these questions can be answered with the different departments. That will
won't-
be our recommendation to council.
It will not go on to council yet.
No,
It will just
no.
come back
Okay.
to us, and I'll work directly with the
them.
applicant to provide supplemental information. Okay.
Okay,
Once the information is provided to the city, then we would reschedule another meeting. Typically, we work as fast as we can with the applicant to get that information, but the Plan Commission did not set a deadline, no.
okay. Next, we have general discussion on comprehensive plan updates. Adam?
I would just say that Monday, the Committee of the Whole will be meeting to interview the two final candidates. We interviewed the four sort of preferred firms last time, which were Lucille Levine, Chastain and Associates, Tesca, and Vanderwall and Associates. It was tough. They all did a really good job. But based upon the feedback we had from you guys as well as the council, that there was a desire to, if possible, try somebody new to get a fresh perspective. So the two that we've forwarded on to the council are Lucille Levine and Chastain and Associates. So that's for Monday. They'll be interviewing those two firms, and maybe they'll decide to want to go through with one of the two, or maybe they'll want to interview the other two. But that's where we're at right now on the comp plan update. So
Thank you. Upcoming meetings, do we have any idea? We do.
Well, both meetings.
Sorry, I guess if I looked at that, it says upcoming.
Thursday, it was Thursday.
Too used to relying on you guys.
Okay.
Okay, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
We're done.